What's going on, folks? This is Mr. Colion Noir, and thank you for joining me today on CN Live. Our guest today is best known as a model, actor, and a star of music videos. Tyson Beckford first gained his fame as a model for Ralph Lauren. He's been named VH1's Male Model of the Year and has been on People's Magazine's Most Beautiful list. His acting career includes My Wife and Kids and Zoolander. But here's a side of Tyson that most people aren't too familiar with. What's going on, Tyson? What's going on, Tyson, man?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. So I see you're out there. You're out there on the street. So you're definitely living that life, right?
Yeah, I just got out of the gym, so just training for this new movie. So
okay,
staying in shape.
Yeah, man. So all right, so talk to me. So how? Kind of give me a rundown about how you actually got into guns in the first place.
I just growing up here in New York City and upstate New York, it was, hunting is a big thing here in upstate New York because we have a large deer, population here. So a lot of times, they would send hunters out to get a lot of deer because they would run into traffic and cause accidents and, a lot of fatalities from it. So I was always around like guys in high school with shotguns and stuff like that. And, they take me target practicing with them and stuff like that. So, I really picked up the knack and was able to, when most people grab a gun, they pull so hard on the trigger where I had a finesse thing about it, and then, I had to have my Marines recruiter chasing me my whole high school career.
Oh man,
trying to get me to join.
So we would have had us Tyson Beckford Tier 1 operator instead of
That's it. I mean, he was like, "Yo, you're a perfect candidate for special forces and all of that," and I was inches away from doing it, but my passion was the acting thing, so I ended up passing on that and getting into the acting thing. But there's not a day that I don't see our troops come home and I don't regret not going.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. So do you remember the very first time you ever shot? Like I know you talked about you kind of initially had the ability to finesse the trigger enough where you were a lot better than most people. What was that experience like? The very first time you picked up a gun and you shot it?
It was a rush, and it was also an understanding of power. You know what I mean? Because here's something that I'm holding in my hand that's made from steel that can take a life or save a life, depending on what side of it you're on. And it was very like, it was a powerful thing for me. Like I just was like, wow, okay, it's kind of like what people say when they jump out of an airplane. It's like, wow, and that was the kind of feeling I got. And then, I had grown a lot more respect for it because you see it on TV and you see, people getting shot on TV and movies and stuff. But, you always know that in the back end of that, it's like cut, action, and then, the person gets up and they go home. But to understand the power of a gun is truly, you have to fire it to know it, know. And I explained that to a lot of people who are anti-gun, and, they some get it, some don't, And I always invite them to come shoot any one of mine so they can get that feeling.
Gotcha. I mean, like, do you remember how old you were when you shot for the first time?
Probably, I think around roughly 18, 19 years old.
Gotcha. See, and the thing is, I kind of really gel with a lot of what you just said simply because I didn't shoot my first gun until I was about 25.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, but for me, though, it was the same way. It was kind of like the first shot was exhilarating and terrifying. And then the second shot is when I started understanding what was happening. It was like, damn, I'm controlling a mini explosion in my hand. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it was kind of like, it was like,
I think maybe 85% of gun owners went through that same thing that first time, And it is funny because I've compared that experience with others and everyone pretty much says the same thing.
Yep, absolutely. So it's like at this point, for a lot of people, they see you as one way, and but I follow on Instagram, and when we talk back and forth every once in a while, so I know how big you are. But would you consider yourself kind of a gun hobbyist or like a gun enthusiast?
I would say I'm an enthusiast. I mean, it started off as a hobby, but I think now once you racked up maybe 60,000 or 80,000 in guns, it's not it's not a hobby. It's past the hobby. It's like you're serious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you stockpile more than 12,000 rounds. Yeah, you think, yeah. I think you're in it deeper than you really realize.
I'm not gonna lie. I find this all funny because you're sitting in the middle of New York and you're saying this, and I know that is not necessarily the culture in New York. Or I could be wrong. Is there a gun culture in New York?
There is a gun culture. There's guys who live and work here in New York, but also have like farms elsewhere, like Texas, and I know a lot of guys, Texas, and a lot of guys in Miami. For me, I hold a Florida license, so I live in Florida. I work in New York City, and I spend a lot of time here. And I grew up in the city where, the neighbor had a damn RPG, AK-47, all kinds of stuff. What a lot of anti-gun people don't realize, there is more guns on the street than legal gun owners have. Okay, I've seen some things on the street that would shock ATF, but I'm pretty sure they know that it's out there, but they just can't control who has it. But I know one guy who's got an AK-47 fully auto RPG
in New York.
Yeah, New York City, yeah. And there's no way that you can control it.
You can't.
I know spots right now you can go get a hand grenade if you need it. That's just black. The black market is always going to be the black market.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, what they say, there's more guns than people.
Yep.
There's nothing that you really do about it. And then you have all these people worried about the Democrats coming to take your guns, and but if you really think about it, you know how much manpower and policing that would cost to do that? If you started at the end of the block and was like, all right, well, I got to do this street and I got to do a million others, it would next to be impossible. We'd have to bring back our military just to try to enforce that. It couldn't happen if we wanted it to.
I think this is where I would disagree with that. And the reason is because I don't think at this point they don't have to roll down the street and actually pick up your guns. I don't think that's how it would happen at all. However, I think with the way they implement some of the laws, when you start forcing people to choose between being a criminal or turning in your guns, I think in many ways people will kind of opt for turning in their guns. I
don't think that it'll ever get to that point where they're going to say turning in your guns, and that's where I always get into that argument with Republicans and Democrats, and I just laugh, because it's just like But
it's happened.
It has. When?
It's happened. It's happened in many places. It's happening right now in California. It's happening right now.
The stupid thing about California and people in California, they didn't go up and vote, Colin. You know that. If you had got up and made your voice, heard, then you would have been heard. But a lot of people fail to realize that you got to go out and vote. You have to say something or find a legislator who believes in your what you want to do. But California is another place that's stupid. I can't even begin to tell you what I've seen in L.A.
Yeah, I know. It's nuts in L.A.
From you can't blame all of South Central, but there's some things I've seen in the Valley that I'm like, yo, how did you get that? You know what I mean? You can, California's just a crazy place. You can smoke weed and do all that in the middle of the street. But you can't own a gun. You can't own or carry a gun, which is stupid.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just, it makes no sense.
Which I think,
those people in California, I feel sorry for you.
But here's the thing about that. So, like, across there are other states too where you're not allowed to own certain guns, and at that point, the only reason why they even have the guns, some of the guns that they do have, is because they just haven't gotten around to those yet. I think for a lot of people, when we start talking about the back and forth between the idea of people coming for our guns and people not coming for our guns, it's kind of the idea of a war of attrition. It's like little steps, little incremental steps, and then you look up, you're like, what the hell happened? A minute ago, I had AR-15s.
Again, and that's what happened in California, because they weren't paying attention. They didn't pay attention to the laws and what was going on to speak up and say something. You know what I mean?
Now,
I know a lot of liberals that are pro-gun. A lot of them are pro-gun. A lot of times.
Hold that thought real quick, because I got to run the break. I got to run the break real quick. But don't forget what you're saying, so we can continue there, and we'll be right back.
For sure.
All right. All right, folks, and we're back from break. And before we went to break, I was speaking with Tyson about his thoughts on California and basically why they're in the state that they're in, and why he, in many ways, feels like we might be overdoing the kind of caution that comes with the idea of a confiscation. Do you remember what you were saying before we went to break?
Yeah, I was just saying, a lot of liberals do support the NRA and believe in, the Second Amendment. And then, you have a lot of them who also see things like these mall shootings, these mass killings, like, the Orlando situation, and see that there is some loops and laws that do need to be tightened up. And, I believe there should be better background checks. I think, like, Orlando could have been avoided with a better background check. And, that was, FBI messed up on that one because this guy wasn't supposed to even go near a gun shop, but he was able to go in and get through the loophole. But I think it's rare that happens.
I think some of the issue too is when we start talking is some of the rhetoric that some anti-gunners use. Like when we start talking about the backgrounds, like how you said we should have better background checks. In our minds, we're like, okay, make the background checks as thorough as possible without infringing on my rights. But I think when antis talk about better background checks, what they're talking about is universal background checks.
Right.
And then that gives the impression to other people that, wait, you mean to tell me we didn't already have background checks? And they're like, no, we've already had them. It's just that in certain situations, people who shouldn't have guns still get them because they do illegal things to get them. Or in the case of the Orlando shooting, you have the guy he just slipped through the FBI's cracks. And if there's no record of him, if there's no record on file saying he's not supposed to own a gun, then if he goes to a gun store and buys it, I mean, you can't blame the system in that regard.
No, you can't. But I mean, it's rare that even happens.
Yeah, it's very rare.
So that was very rare.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of times, like if we start to teach people because in Israel you have to go to the military, and because there's always the thought of always being prepared and understanding what could happen, and when it does happen, you don't go into this panic mode. I think if something like bad happened here, a lot of people are going to go into panic mode, and then you're going to have the gun guys who are going to fall back and be like, okay, I'm ready for this. And then you have the other half who are going to just be scared, and I always call them sheep, and that's one thing I'm not. I'm not a sheep. And a lot of times people see me, I might be in GQ magazine, I might be in a nice suit or something, but I kick your ass. You know what I mean? I kick your ass. I got a bunch of friends who do bodyguard service and stuff, and they're always surprised, like, what techniques I know and things of that nature. And they work for like high-end clientele and high celebrities, and I'm always bringing them to the range and teaching them something. And they're like, "How do you know this?" I said, "Well, I've been trained in martial arts since I was a kid." And the thing is, a lot of people just because they see me in magazines and they see me doing underwear ads, they just figure, oh, he's a fit guy in shape. Yeah, I'm a fit guy in shape. For what reason? I train to fight, but people don't know that. They think I'm. In plain words, I think I'm when I beat that ass, you know differently.
Yeah, of course.
But I have like guys come at me on Instagram or on social media, oh, this and that. And I always say to them, just tell me where you want me to meet you. I've never backed down from a fight. Over the summer, I got jumped by 2 guys. I beat the shit out of both of them. NYPD was like, look, we can't really do anything because, they assaulted you, but you took care of them. So, there's not much we can do about it. But I just think that, society needs to stop being, quote unquote, and man up and learn to protect yourself. I'm not saying you have to own a gun. I'm just saying learn to protect yourself. But don't be mad at the others who have them, because there's a lot of guns that are on the street that are illegal that will, come down to it. I don't think the military or the police can stop those people if they ever decide to uprise. And there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself. We've been doing that since 1776.
Pretty much.
Yep. And that should never change. And I think the gun law should never be taken from you.
I think one of the issues too is, like you mentioned, if something were to happen and something were to go down, you're going to have a group of people who are going to engage in sheer panic and terror. And then you're going to have a group of people, i.e. the gun guys, who kind of sit back and like, well, I'm prepared for this.
Right.
The interesting thing about that, though, is sometimes one of the biggest things that frustrates me about that is the other people on the other side who aren't prepared in that way, they look at me and they do everything possible to make sure that I don't have a gun.
Right.
And I'm looking at them like, okay, look, if you don't like guns, that's fine. But guess what? When something goes down, I'm going to be the one that's going to be protecting you.
Right, and I see that all the time, and I mean, I do courses where I show people how to disarm people. Like, you know, one of the things I have coming up in Miami on December 1st is a program I call Shoot Back, where I'm teaching the LGBT community how to not put yourself or let yourself be another Orlando, because that many people to get slaughtered that way, you know, it hurts me to see that, and I feel like sometimes, you know, if you allow yourself to be a sheep, then you're going to be a sheep. But if you allow yourself to be a wolf, and you know, sometimes you have to make that sacrifice to save others, you know. And I've already said to that myself, if it ever came down to it, would I put myself in that predicament if I knew I can change things and save lives? Would I do it? I say hell yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every time I'm on a plane, you know, my head is always on swivel. I'm always checking my surroundings, you know, and you always should, and every American should. I'm not saying that we to be in panic or to be worried, but just know that we don't live in the safest world in the.
But let me ask you this though. You have that mentality, but yet you still live in the same environments that a lot of people who don't have this mentality have. What do you think it is about your background or the way that you grew up that caused you to focus and understand the importance of having that level of preparation versus a lot of people who live in the same, I guess, quintessential bubble, who don't necessarily have that mindset?
I mean, me growing up in the streets of New York City during the 70s and the 80s, and also Miami in the 80s, I saw the drug wars.
Yeah.
I witnessed the drug wars. I saw the battle for the cocaine and the stuff. And meanwhile, I'm like 12, 11 years old. I'm seeing shootouts, you know, between cartels before they were called cartels.
Yeah.
And it was just like an understanding that, you know, my one little trip to the store to go get milk from mom, I could be caught in a shootout, you know what I mean? And I'll be minding my own business. And it's like, always pay attention to your surroundings. That's what we learn as New Yorkers. I mean, a lot of people in New York might not be about guns, but they're still not stupid and not walking down the street and just say, "Oh, well, I live in this safe world and nothing will happen." You know, they still have that mindset like, stuff happens. I know to get low, get crawling, get out of the situation, and you know, there's always a backup plan. Most New Yorkers have, you know, but. We can't always speak for the rest of the world, you know, or the rest of the U.S. You know, a
lot of New Yorkers think they are the world.
No, they do, but, you know, I mean, it really, you know, if you come here and you see, we're really not like that. You know, we're a peaceful set of people.
Yeah.
When things go bad, like, I mean, for once, like 9/11, this city came together and they were supportive of each other. The police department, the fire department, the mayor at the time, even if they didn't like him, they still supported him.
Yeah.
I mean, in times of need, we as Americans do come together when it's right and it's about the right thing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we just got to kind of remember things and not forget what happened in the past and what can happen if we allow it to.
Gotcha. Now, you're out in New York now. But you live in Miami now, but you're in New York now, but you lived in New York at a certain point. When you were in New York, did you have?
Well, I actually lived in New York City for a while, and then I moved to New Jersey, which is also a gun state.
So you can own a gun in New Jersey. Because I was going to ask you if you had a license to carry when you were living there.
No, I didn't have a license to carry while I was living there, but I do have a license to carry in Florida, though.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so from that perspective, so when you are in Florida, you're typically carrying. So we're going to go to break.
When I step off the plane, I pull it out of my Pelican case. So I don't run around with a bodyguard because for me, I think that brings too much attention. So I am my own bodyguard in a sense. That's
an interesting way to look at it. I think people undervalue that concept a lot of times. You know.
They do.
You know, I was speaking with somebody who was a former NFL player before, and we were talking about the idea of keeping a low profile. Not drawing too much attention to yourself.
That's the best way. Always keeping a low profile. Don't want to look like the guys in gray.
Yeah.
Then again, you also want to move like them if you need to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna take another quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some of your preferences, like what gun you do carry when you carry, what you keep beside your bed, so forth and so on.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back. All right, folks, and we're back. Before we left, I was talking with Tyson about his concealed carry. So lay it on me, man. What do you carry when you carry most of the
time? For me, because I'm always most of the time in suits and really dressed real dapper, and I'm not like anybody of these guys. I'm a 32 waist, so I usually wear my size.
Gotcha.
So for me, I like the Glock 19 and the 43. And I also love the slimness of the 1911s.
Gotcha. So you can carry a Glock 19 in a suit?
Yeah, I carry a Glock 19 in a suit. And,
where?
And no one could tell. Yeah, and then also, I got a Nighthawk 1911 that fits real nice too.
Oh,
and
man.
then my 5.7 FNH also.
So you'll carry that. Okay. So that's
because it's nice and light.
So it's either Glock 19 FNH. Your Black Hawk, the white Nighthawk. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to figure out. So when you're carrying that 19, where on your person? You had the 3 o'clock. You're at appendix. What are you carrying?
I'm pretty much at sometimes at 3 o'clock, depending if I'm wearing a jacket or something, or if it's just a t-shirt, it's right there in the front.
In the front. Okay.
Yeah.
So favorite caliber. Handgun wise. Yeah.
45.
45. Why the 45?
The stopping power. You know what I mean? And it's one shot, one kill. You know?
I think that's overstated. It's overstated.
I had a lot of special forces guys come back with my friends and tell me that they went in with the Beretta 9mm at first, and then they realized that they had to spend more shots with the 9 than they did with the 45. They were like, every time they used the 45, it was one shot, one done.
It's crazy.
And it was like, all right, and then they recommended to me the H&K variant in the 45.
The HK 45.
Yeah, that's the one I also is another carrier of mine too.
Okay. See, because it's weird. It's crazy how when you start talking about this caliber debate, it's many different opinions. Because I got a couple of guys who I know who special forces, all that, and then they're like, he's like 9, you're good. It's like yeah. And then for me, I always look at it from a standpoint of, I just want to be able to keep dumping rounds in your direction as long as possible. And usually with a 9, you get a lot more rounds than you would with the 45. So that's kind of my thought process.
That's why I also own a 9mm as well. But it's just that all the older vets that come back from World War I, World War II always just say, man, the 1911 is a man gun. Because when you run out of bullets, you just throw the gun at them. It's so damn heavy. So
I'm not gonna lie.
I got this old guy I work out at the gym with, and he's like, "Don't you get one of them little small guns? You get that 1911 that you got." And I said, "Yes, sir, I do have it." So, yeah.
Man, it's funny because when I run into people who know what I do, and then they ask me what I carry, and I tell them the caliber, you can see it in their eyes, judging me a little bit, and I don't like that. Don't do that. If you ask me what caliber I carry, I'll tell you it's a 9. Don't look at me like that.
No, I got you.
Yeah, man. So, do you have a favorite gun of all times? Like just the one gun at the end of the day, you always remember it. It's your absolute favorite gun.
I have to say it's my Nighthawk 1911.
Why is that?
It feels good in my hand. And it's so reliable, never jams. And then the second to that, I'd have to say my Glock 19.
19.
They're fighting. They're fighting because. And then when you have so many of them, now you just say, man, I'm going to match them to my Jordans, or I'm going to match them to my outfit. It's just silly, I mean, we can sit here and laugh about it, but some people are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're talking about that.
I mean, think about it. But you made a good point, though. At the end of the day, when you have all of your bases covered, it's kind of like, I look at it as like being in school. When I was in school and I was in law school, you went and you studied like crazy. And you did all the preparation, and then you took your test, and then after the test, you already did what you were supposed to do. So now you can go party.
Yeah, for sure.
Same concept.
And I believe in that. Yeah,
you have
to.
You have your training down. You clearly train. You know what you're talking about. You have the knowledge down, and you're doing it responsibly. So at a certain point, you have all the bases that are covered. I don't know why people try to make it seem like it's so crazy that now I'm looking at it from a more superficial level, where I'm like, okay, I think I might carry this one because this is how I'm feeling right now, or because this one goes with what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Do you open carry at all if you ever got a chance?
I mean, that's what I love about Texas. I would love to come down there and open carry. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just, to me, like I've seen guys, being in Texas, I've seen guys have their AR-15 slung over their shoulder and their magazine in their side pocket. And I'm just like, wow, that's, you know, and then it makes you feel like, damn, I'm proud to be American. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm not mad at that. The only thing that sucks, man, about that, at least in Texas, we can open carry, but then there are so many places and establishments that put up signs that basically say you can't carry in here. I started noticing that when I was there. Exactly, and that's the only thing that sucks about it.
At one point, you could carry it into the Starbucks and gas stations, and
then now
they
it's kind of so that kind of give and take, I guess. So, do you have a gun? What's your most valuable gun from a sentimental perspective? Not that it's the best, but it just has a sentimental value to it that can't be quantified in like physical terms.
I don't have one right now. I used to have one, but I don't have one right now. But I recently purchased this spring my SIG. What was it? My SIG MPX. 9mm. And it's just so reliable, so accurate. Like a lot of times you'll see me posting that on my Instagram where I'm just shooting the metal. Yeah, and it just. Man, the thing is so accurate. Yeah, I remember on it.
I was saying to myself, I was like, he jocking his MPX right now.
Yeah, I really am. Because that's also considered a pistol in Florida.
Gotcha.
And I put it in the book bag, put it on my back and carry it with me, or it's on the front seat in the car with me, in the Jeep, whatever. But people get in the car and they're like, where are you going with that? And then they look at it and they're like, girls are always like, wow, that's sexy, daddy. And I'm like, hey. I was like, hey, give me that. Don't you touch that.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Yeah, don't just sit there. Don't touch it. It's in the car.
I mean, it's so reliable, easy to clean, and such fun to shoot. And for a beginning shooter, they when I bring them to the range and they try it, they just fall in love with it.
You know? That's a good point. I think a lot of people should begin, like, especially when you start getting people transitioning into the rifles. I think having them shoot something like the SIG MPX, that is, because you're right. There's something about that gun that I even personally like quite a bit. The only problem is I have mine is literally in pistol configuration. I don't even have a brace on it. So because I wanted to SBR it and then just put a stock on it and call it a day. But you're right. I think for first time shooters, I remember I took a group of people out there and they shot an MP5 full auto for the first time, and they walked away like, because it's so easy to shoot.
Yeah, and it's so accurate. So,
absolutely, and it's fast as as fast as I'll get out.
Oh my God, it's so much fast. It's so fast.
So, would you consider yourself a pistol guy, rifle guy, or shotgun guy? Like, if somebody was like, "What type of shooter are you?"
Loud M3 going by. I like them all, man.
Yeah.
I got a Mossberg semi that I love, and a pistol grip Mossberg, and then. I love my ARs and I love my pistols as well. So I can't pick, but whenever new gun people come to me and say, Ty, you got a lot of stuff. What should I buy? I say always, you get a shotgun, get an AR-15, and then get a nice handgun. I think that, for somebody starting out, that's all you need.
Yeah.
That's the if the stuff hit the ceiling,
Yep.
That's the thing that you need. You need those three essential ones because, and then trying to find them in the right millimeter. 5.56 is easy to find, and 12 gauge, and also 9mm and 45 and 40 cal. Easy to find stuff. So it's not like you're running around looking for crazy
ammo. That you can never find. Right?
So we do stockpile a 5.7 because that's not always easy to find. So.
No, I remember I carried the 5.7 for a very, 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 very short period of time. And I'm not gonna lie,
that's also something nice with no recoil.
Exactly,
as well, so.
And then you got literally 20 rounds right there.
Yes, exactly.
Right there, 20 rounds. Now, we can go all the day about whether or not it has a stopping power that you need. But like I said, I'm all about having as many rounds going in that direction as long as possible. But we're gonna take a quick break one more time, and then when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. And we got to talk about the very controversial subject of the AK versus the AR.
That's right.
right, we're back. What's going on, folks? And we're back. And before we left you guys, I was speaking with Tyson about so for home defense, what do you keep? What do you keep in the crib for home defense?
Well, the AK and the AR are both loaded, ready to go.
All right.
Yeah.
So
always.
So now, your thoughts. If you had to choose between the AK and the AR, what would it be?
Well, for me, I think I have an SBR in Miami and also an AK. So for me, it's like I always think like for close quarters, the AK is pretty good. That's your go-to. Yeah. And the SBR that I have is about 7 inches, so it's also perfect for close quarters. But I mean, for that thump, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna say the AK.
Okay. Yeah. See, and for me, like, I keep. The funny thing is when I'm out and about and I'm carrying, it's gonna be a 9. It's gonna be my Glock 19, it's either my Glock 19, Glock 26, or Glock 43.
Right.
But at home, I run 45.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I've seen you. Yeah, I've seen you have yours by the bedside.
Exactly.
And my Nighthawk is there too, and then I also have a Springfield as well.
Okay.
I keep the Springfield in the garage. In the top of the toolbox.
Okay. So explain to people who understand why you would keep that in the garage.
Because you never know that I got expensive bikes in there, and I've had somebody run in there before and try to leave with something that wasn't there. So the Springfield sees a lot of action. It's I got night sights on it, and it sees a lot of action to be quiet as kept. It saved me a few times.
People actually think it's weird when they come to my place and they see I keep a Glock 21 on the counter in my bathroom.
Oh yeah. That's I saw that too.
Yeah, people. I mean, even my producers here, they just turn around and looked at me like, "What?"
Yeah.
But think about it. The most vulnerable you ever are in your house is when you're sleeping and when you're in the bathroom.
Right.
Either while you're taking a shower or using the bathroom. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it makes all the sense in the world. But everybody seems to think I'm crazy when they come in and they see the Glock 21 sitting on the counter.
I got a friend who has his AR on the sling right by the shower. there's a towel and then there's an AR on the sling, and I'm just like, really? Well, you know what was my go-to weapon of choice though? Home intrusion is my baseball bat.
Really?
Yeah, I got a baseball bats by every door in the house.
Explain that to me.
Because I just feel like, why waste a bullet on you?
Jesus.
When I can just, I'm always ready to use my Louisville Slugger. I guess that's old school New York City.
I'm start calling you Tyson Negan. That's what we're
going to call you. Keep the Slugger. Because the last resort is always me go for the gun. The first thing I go for is always the bat. I hear a thump, the bat is in hand.
The bat's in hand.
Okay.
Yeah. You better than I am. I hear a thump, it's the SBR.
Yeah, I hear you.
And that's what and I was going back to that.
Good night.
I keep so by the bed I keep the 45 on the nightstand, and then I keep the SBR right next to the bed, and the SBR is actually chambered in 300 blackout.
Wow.
Yeah, because I figure because then you get the thump. Like the thump of the AK and the AR platform, and I'm most familiar with the AR platform. Yeah,
but don't you worry about the first shot that rings out is going to have your ears ringing?
You think it won't on your SBR AK?
Yeah. Well, no, I think the same thing. So that's why I always like, all right, let me go for the bat.
Okay. Okay. See that, and that's another thing too. Right now, I'm almost.
I don't know anybody that sleeps with earplugs by the bed.
Okay. I'm gonna admit something here, right? So what I used to do, right? So the nightstand that I had, it had a little area where a little hole area where you can put stuff. So I would keep the gun on the nightstand, the AR by the bed, and then I'd have a set of
over ears
over the ears in the little space right there.
Yeah. The over ears are good because
Yeah.
if you turn on the volume and turn it up,
Yep.
you can hear
a lot better
all
than you
over
could.
the house.
Exactly.
Yes, you can hear better than they can. That's good.
I just thought, I was like, this makes perfect sense to me. Why not do it? And I still, I mean, it's still there. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And then at the foot of the bed, I have this little chest thing or whatever. It looks so unassuming. It just looks like it's furniture.
Where you put your like linens and towels and things of that
exactly.
nature. Yeah.
And then inside of it, though, I have my the chest rig.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So because I like to.
Yeah, my chest rig is hanging in next to the my bulletproof vest and my suits in the closet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
My walk-in closet is like a James Bond closet.
I think we're all trying to get to that status.
We got to do a story on that one.
No, hey, I'm all for. We'll do that for the next season of Noir. We'll come in. We'll film the closet.
Exactly. Come to Miami and spend the day with me.
Hey, I'm good for it because everybody's been trying to get. I've been trying to get to the James Bond status in the closet area. Everybody can't be like Tyson though. But
no, I hear you.
All right, but so from that perspective, you just got through working out now. How much do you think just fitness in general plays a part in being a good shooter? Because I know you're really big on the fitness aspect, and we're talking about it off air for a little bit.
Well, I think it's very important because so you think about it. If you had to run with that AR or that AK or to be fully loaded with a vest with maybe 6 magazines and a dump pouch and extra rounds and a 20 or 40 pound backpack, could you do it?
Exactly.
And I know a lot of guys that they're sitting ducks. A lot of gun guys are overweight, out of shape. They're not hopping any fences. They're not jumping. They're not jumping underneath any cars when people start shooting. And my thing is always like, I take like the 45 or the 50 pound weight and I hold it out there straight.
Yeah.
And people are amazed how strong I am, how I can just hold an AR-15 and just shoot it. Yeah.
I've actually started doing that. I've incorporated the way I lift towards the way I hold the rifle.
And shoot it like it's just a regular rifle. People bug out when they see that. They're like, wow, you're strong. And then whenever I hand any of my rifles to somebody else, they're like, oh my God, this is so heavy. I'm like, and I have a friend, I won't mention his name. He's a new gun guy, and he picked up my AR and he was like shaking. And I'm like, dude, you're supposed to be a personal trainer. You're supposed to be strong. But there's a difference between gun strength and weight strength.
Absolutely.
He's good in the weight room, but when it came to like the gun,
sustained power, this kind of static,
he couldn't do it.
Static hold.
And then his fingers weren't strong, and he had problems loading his 9mm. Because 9 bullets are smaller and it's harder to push in.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and the difference between loading a 9 and a 5.56 and 45 is so much difference. Yeah. People don't realize it. The bigger the bullet, it's easier to load. The smaller the bullet,
it becomes a pain. It's like kind of thread that needle a little bit. Exactly. We got about a minute and 30 seconds left. So I want to talk about this movie you're working on.
Okay.
So give me a little bit of a breakdown of what's going on. I saw the Instagram. Right, you were training. What's going on?
Right. So the working title is 3 or 5 Outlaws. It's about guys on motorcycles taking down armored trucks in Miami. So it involves like motorcycles, high-speed riding, stunt riding, and then being able to shoot with one hand, being ambidextrous with both hands, and still being able to ride the bike at the same time. So that's a lot of the training that we're doing now.
Gotcha.
So I'm putting together a nice cast, and I'm also going to reach out to a lot of the gun companies, because I saw Salient Arms and those guys. They're really good over there. I saw them. They worked on the latest Keanu Reeves movie, and they did a really good job. So I want to bring in stuff like that and introduce some new weapons to the movie scene.
Yeah, it's pretty. It started getting pretty redundant after a certain period of time.
Yeah. Everyone goes for the chrome Beretta. Oh God, the next. Oh my God.
If I see another Desert Eagle in a movie, I'm going to throw up.
Exactly, and we all know that that's not a practical gun. So it's not something that we use as people. So we want to use things that are real, that we really use in the gun community. And I noticed a lot of companies like are porting and milling and fluting barrels and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
I want to spend time on things like that, because to me, I say the Glock is the grown man's puzzle gun, because you can do so many things to it.
Yes, sir. But yeah,
So,
man. So I mean, I look forward to it. Definitely keep me up to date on it. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
you taking the time out to kind of talk with me today. Just talk guns all day long. You know, we can do this all day
and
long.
I need you to make a cameo.
Hey, dude, I'm bored. Let me in. Let me know.
Okay,
All right.
cool.
But I'm gonna mess
Definitely.
with you. I'm gonna mess with you in about a week or two in Miami. So we're good.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
All right, man.
Okay, take care.
Yes, sir. All right, I'm Colion Noir, and y'all have a good one.
Good show, brother.